Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah, and it's time for our live video chat. Guess I'm over a little far. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you've all decided to watch my live video chat today. My table again is just filled with lots of wonderful, fun things, and I've got lots of great things to talk about today. All right, so I've got a couple of questions we're going to go over, and then we'll go over our main topic, which is what are the loops and bumps and humps and jumps that are on your beginning chain? Good morning, Crystal and Michelle. I see you popped in. Good morning, Susie. I have to show you my new cup first. Check out this cup. Is this not the cutest thing you have ever seen? I love this cup. I think I got it at Walgreens. It's nice and big and round. I can have a cup of soup in here if I want to, but I've got it full of coffee. You know that. Make sure you clink in. Clink. Well, my bag of yarn just fell over here that I was going to show you. I think I'll leave it there. Good morning, Kimberly and Vicki. You know, I had a much better morning this week than I had last week when we started our video. I'm having, let's see, what kind of coffee is this? This is Dunkin' Donuts chocolate mint. It's probably like mocha frappolata something. Either way, it's very tasty. All right, so we got, like I said, we have a lot of things to go over today. I've got a couple of questions, and then we'll get right into our question that I got this week about the loops on the chains. One of the questions I got actually it was about 2 weeks ago, and it was when I was talking about some of the Red Heart yarns, and I got this message in the most kindly way. She said, "Why do you always talk about such cheap yarn? And why do you do your projects with such cheap yarn? Why don't you go to your local yarn store and support your local yarn store?" Okay, so to answer that question, number one, my local yarn store closed down, and I used to go there, and then there was one in Castle Rock that I used to go there. Wonderful lady. As a matter of fact, I purchased my shelving units from her when she had to close her shop. And the truth of the matter is, I absolutely love Red Heart yarns. I do. And I love all of their yarns, from their cheapest yarns to their most expensive. And Red Heart has all kinds of yarns. I also love Hobby Lobby yarns, especially the I Love This yarn. I also love Michael's yarns, their store brands, and the other yarns that they carry. And so when she asked me, why do you always use such cheap yarn, or why do you always, you know, never talk about your local yarn store, I just wanted to explain that, because my thinking is this. There are lots of wonderful yarns out there, from the inexpensive to the very expensive. And especially when you're just learning, it's a good idea to go with some of the less expensive yarns. That way, when you make a mistake like I do sometimes, you haven't wasted a really expensive yarn. One thing that I found about some of the very expensive yarns, you know, 30, 40, I even paid, I think, $80 for some yarn that I got in Alaska, but it was a special time. We were on a cruise, and I wanted some special yarns made from the special people in Alaska, because that's how they make their living. And so then I did buy some more expensive yarn. But what happened was, when I saved it for the perfect project, right? Because that's what we do when we get expensive yarn. And then I was going along, and I made a mistake, and I went to frog it. Now, you know, frogging is when you rip it out like a frog goes ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. It's just called frogging. It's a funny way to say it. And as I was pulling that out, guess what happened? It fuzzed up, and I ruined that yarn a little bit, a little portion of it. And so my thinking is this. If I use inexpensive or cheap yarns, as she put it, we can practice, and we can do that in some inexpensive yarns. But in all of my videos and on all of my patterns and all of my blogs, I give you the weight. So if you want to switch to a more expensive yarn, go for it. I'm totally good with that. I just really have found that I really, you know, you can see behind me, I've got Karen Cakes, I've got Red Heart, I've got, I mean, I love all brands of yarn, Lion brand yarns, Red Heart yarns, although I will tell you I'm a little bit more favorable to Red Heart yarns because they've been so good to me and to all the bloggers. So anyway, I wanted to answer that question. I would go to my local yarn store if it was still open. So anyway, just in case I missed anybody, I see Ann popped back in, Kimberly, Tina, Tammy, Jen. I'm so glad you're all here. And I don't care if you're late. You know, you can always watch the beginning later. Let's clink. I'm putting my cup in the wrong place. Let's clink in with my super cute cup. Isn't that darling? And then we'll get started into our main subject. One of the question that I got this last week is this young lady. I'm going to say young lady. I don't know how she was. She's learning to crochet, and in the group they were talking about this group that she was in. I was not in this group. I'm relaying what she said. They were talking about the lumps and bumps that are on your beginning chain and where to place your hook and a lot of things like that. And she said, "Can you help me? I'm so confused." So I'm going to do just a little bit of a demonstration to help explain. It's easier to show you than to try to talk about it without showing you. So I'm going to click down to my top cam and scoot over a little bit. Okay, so I've got a nice big hook and some chunky yarn. Here's my slip knot. I'm going the wrong direction because I want to use my working yarn. There we go. Here's my slip knot. I'm going to chain a couple of chains just so you can see that. And if you're wanting to know what this yarn is, I believe it's the Essential Soft by Red Heart. And I believe that it's also a, let's see, it's a 5. All right, so here's a chain, right? And you get a pattern and it says, begin chaining in the second chain from the hook. Unless the pattern tells you otherwise, you're going to use this back or top loop. And many different designers, for different reasons and different effects, will tell you to go in a different loop. But if they don't tell you, you're going to go in these top loops. In other words, you don't start in your first chain when we're going to single crochet. We're going to go in that top loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, and there's your first single crochet. All right, so let me pull that out. And unless the pattern tells you otherwise, that's the loop that you're going to stitch in. Sometimes a pattern will tell you to stitch in the bottom loop, and they're looking for a particular effect. And so what you would do is you'd turn it up a little, you would start in the second chain, and you'd start stitching in that bottom loop. And you can see, let me turn it over flat here, that we didn't stitch in those top loops, we stitched in the bottom. And that's what would happen if you did that. So when the pattern doesn't tell you which loop of your chain to stitch in, always stitch in this top loop. Sometimes they call it the back loop. When you're doing a chain, it's almost always called the top loop and the bottom loop. Now, a pattern that she was talking to me about, it told her to stitch in the bump, the back bump. So if you take your chain and you turn it over, you'll notice there's a bump that goes right down the center of your chain. And sometimes a designer will tell you to stitch in that back bump because they're wanting a certain effect. So let me go ahead and show you how you would do that. You wouldn't go in the first one, you'd go in the second one. You put your hook through that back bump and then you'd stitch. And I'm just stitching single crochets just so you can see. All right, here's that back bump on the next one. And I'm going to turn it over so you can see the effect. All right, so and then this is the way that it would look. And sometimes they want that braid to show. I call that a braid. It's the chains to show, and it gives it a neat effect, like say on the edge of a hat, or maybe the edge of a fingerless glove on the bottom or something. And so that's the difference on your chain. So just to repeat, if the pattern doesn't tell you which loop to stitch in these top loops on the top. If it says the bottom loop, that's the loop that's down here. But if it says the bottom bump, sometimes it's called the third loop. That's the bump or the loops on the very back that go right down the center of the back of the chain. And I hope that helped. Let me click back over. I hope that helped explain that, because it can be very confusing when you're first starting to crochet, or even if you've been crocheting forever and you've never done that. It could be very confusing to know where to put your hook when you're going to begin with your beginning chain. Now, we're not going to talk about the front and back loops of a stitch this week. We're going to do that in 2 weeks, because next week we're going to have my birthday party. I want to tell you all about this. I'm so excited. February is my birth month, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm turning 55 this year, and I'm going to have us a birthday party. I'm going to have some giveaways, and I've been working on some neat, fun, and silly patterns for you to have that day. And I'm hoping to have some yarn, a hook, and a gift card. So be sure and tune in next week for the birthday party. And that's why we're going to skip a week on learning about lumps and bumps, lumps and loops and bumps and hoops. And so then the next week after that, we're going to talk about the loops on your tops of your stitches, and where's your front loop, where's your back loop, where's your third loop, all those types of things, as well as where is the post stitches. And so that we're going to do that in the next week. But I've had so many questions about this that I really want to talk about that, because lots of pattern designers write their patterns differently and use different wording. I do want to encourage you that if you ever have a question on a pattern, you can always contact the designer, but don't forget that Google is your friend. If you see a term you don't understand, Google it and look it up. And another place to go is one that I use all the time is Crochet for Dummies. It helped me in a lot of ways, because rather than having a lot of videos, it has really great pictures. And I like that one. And then another one you can go to, of course, is always the Crochet Guild of America. And there's tons of lots of good videos out there too. But don't get frustrated. Don't let a new term or a stitch or something frustrate you. Google it, ask the designer, and don't give up till you get your answer. And I will tell you, like I always say, if you have a question and you haven't got the answer that you want, I'm over a little. You can ask me the question, and if I don't know the answer, I will do everything I can to find you an answer, okay? All right, so that was our discussion. And now let's get into what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs. And if you'll notice, I'm wearing a new headband. And I had a friend who wanted to make a headband for her and her daughter to match. She has a newborn baby. And so what I did is I just came up with a really simple, this is, single crochet, make a section of white and then add the heart. And I call this my funny Valentine pattern, because I like to do patterns that are super easy and some that are super, maybe medium, super. And then I do some that are a little more hard, because I have lots of different people that are at lots of different levels of crochet, and whether you're an expert at crochet or not, sometimes it's fun to pick up something simple and make it and give it to someone. And there's nothing better than seeing someone smile when you give them something that you made. Here's the purple one that I did. Isn't that cute? And I just kept the heart the same color as the rest of the band. And you don't even have to make that white. You can do it all one color if you want to. It's super easy, super fun. And I wanted to show that to you. Now, another thing that we're going to be doing this week, I'm hoping to do it tomorrow, is I had a question about where in the world do I find these pom-poms. And I'm going to tell you a funny story about how I figured out how to make them. Many, many years ago, when my daughter was little, she was about 3, and it was when we were living in Germany, when my husband was in the Air Force. She had a snowsuit that had a knit hood, and the top of that knit hood was one of these pom-poms. And I had taken her in, I think it was like maybe it was her 3-year checkup, I can't remember, maybe it was her 2-year, I can't remember now. Ooh. But anyway, the pom-pom fell off her hat. And so I picked it up, I just stuffed it in my purse, and then later, after we got home, because we would go into the base and spend the day, go to the doctor, spend the day, because we lived out in a little village. We lived in a little village called Valhalben. It was a wonderful experience. And anyway, we got home that evening, and I opened up my purse, and I picked this thing out. I'm like, what is this? And it had come open. And basically, I figured out from that how to make these, and I hadn't thought about it in years and years because I repaired it and put it back on her hood. And so I'm going to show you how to make two sizes. This is going to be a regular size, and this is the small size. I'm just showing you that one on the back of that hat. And I'm also going to talk to you about where to find the fuzzy stuff to make it, what you need to make it, how to make a template to make it, and then of course how to make it, because they're very, very popular, and I get tons of people to ask me, where do you buy them? And the truth of the matter is, I went on a mission yesterday afternoon, and I looked for pom-poms, and the only place I could find them really was the jewelry department on key rings. I went to Hobby Lobby, I went to Michael's, I went to Walmart, I went to Target, and then I went one other place. Where was it? Oh, Joann's. Looking for just the pom-poms so you can buy them, put them on your hat. I couldn't find them anywhere. So I remembered, oh yeah. And so then I went on another mission looking for all the supplies. And so I'm going to do a video. I'm hoping to get that one finished up tomorrow. I started it yesterday. I hope I can get it finished up for you tomorrow, because it's a neat, fun thing, and it's very, very inexpensive. Or to quote someone else, cheap. Super cheap to make, and they're so cute. And you can find these in so many different colors, how to make them in so many different colors. So that's something that I'll hope to get done for tomorrow. Now, yesterday morning, or yesterday afternoon, by the time I got it edited, we did our first stitch for our crochet along. Now, I had a question. She said, what happened to the squares a month? Okay, so last year for 2017, we did a 6-inch square for each month together for our crochet along. We finished it up, and then we made a bag, and then I did a video on how to make the bag and then how to line that bag. And those are on my YouTube channel. They're also on my blog, and you can find those. And so I said, no, we're doing a new crochet along for 2018. And what that is we're doing a sampler blanket. And I know I talked about this before. What we're doing is once a month, we're doing a new stitch to learn and practice. And I have a set size for the blanket, but you can add as many stitches, you know, sideways to make it bigger. You can do as many rows as you want to make it longer. It's up to you how you do it, but it's just a simple way to learn a new stitch each month. And then at the end of the 12 months, we'll have a cool and fun blanket that we can use that's like all fun. And I want you, and it's also a scrap GAN, so use up all your scrap yarns. And the whole thing is done in worsted weight number 4 yarn, so you can use any worsted weight number 4 yarns that you have on hand. So it's a good way also to get rid of a lot of your leftovers. And I did the first video yesterday, and you can find that on my YouTube channel and also on my blog. It's there. The other thing we did, you can see behind me, are those hearts that I've got hanging up. We did this video, I think, on Friday, and it's really cool because you can make a 10-inch heart, you can make worsted weight, and you can make it in cotton. So it's very versatile, and it's lots of fun. It's just a heart doily crochet pattern. I talked about it last week. And that's what's going on this week. And I've got a bunch of stuff planned, but I don't want to talk to you about it yet because, like I said, it's for my birthday. Look at this shirt. Is this not amazing? It looks like crochet, and I think I spent like $6 on it at Walmart. And it reminded me of the freeform hearts that I've been working on. They're a lot of fun to make, and if you've never done freeform, you ought to try it. It is so relaxing because you can just pick up whatever yarns, any textures, any thickness, and put them together for a wonderful piece of art. And I've got one. It's getting kind of big. I need to get it finished so I can hang it up. But I just love it. It's so much fun to do. And when I finish a project, I just get some of that leftover yarn and I just start adding ruffles or spirals or ripples or bumps and, you know, popcorn stitches, and it's just amazing and fun. And that's kind of where I got the inspiration to do this crochet along. So I hope that you'll participate in that. And then what I've done, just so that you understand, if you go to my blog, on the top of the blog, and the blog link is always, if you're on YouTube, it's always there underneath the video. And if you're on Facebook, I'll just add my blog link. And if you go to my video and you look at the top, there's some little things called tabs. And you'll see one that says Back to Crochet Basics. If you click that one, those are all the lessons and when the lesson is going to be. And as we do them, I add the video, the blog, and the link so that you can go in there and do that lesson. And we're starting from the beginning. We've done 2. Next Monday will be the 3rd lesson. And then you'll also see next to that tab is another tab that says Harmony Sample Blanket Crochet Along. And you can click that and it'll have all the same stuff in there. And as we do them, I'll add it there as well. It'll also be on Ravelry. You'll be able to find the Harmony Crochet Along on Ravelry.com. I want to try to get it where you can find it, because one of the things I have found that when I do these series, people have trouble finding them. The other place that you can look, if you're not sure where to look, is on my YouTube. I have a list of all the things that I'm doing. You can go to my, I can't remember what it's called. It's like my playlist. That's what it is. And you can click over there and there are groups for these as well. So it is out there. It's around. You can find it. And if you can't find it, just message me on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll find you some links for it so you can find it. I want anyone who wants to participate to be able to participate, because one of the things, even going back to that first question that I got about the cheap yarn, I think that if you can learn to crochet, even if you're using inexpensive yarns and you learn to love it and you get more confident, you'll feel more confident with those more expensive yarns. And I want everyone to love to crochet. It is one of the most relaxing things I have ever done. And one of the neat things that I do, even though I turn the TV on or something, or turn some videos on when I'm crocheting, I'm still in my own little spot and in my own, and it's like all the negativities and I don't know, drama, family drama, friend drama, whatever drama, it kind of subsides and you can concentrate on what you're doing. You're making a blanket for someone or for yourself, and you can concentrate on those stitches and kind of shut the negativity of the world out. And it's great therapy. And so that's all I've got for you today. I know, again, I just packed this video full of so much stuff, and I get so excited because I just love crochet and yarn. I want to leave you with one thought. So I saw this on somebody else's Facebook today, and it's a good friend of mine from years ago in high school. Yeah, that was a long time ago. So anyway, this is what she had on her Facebook for her morning post. It said, "Choose love because hate is too great a burden to bear." All right, so that's it for today. One last clink in. I hope y'all enjoyed what we talked about today and you learned a few things. And remember, if you got a question, let me know. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And don't forget, next week's my birthday month.